Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to my how-to video about self-tapes. I have a few rules of thumb that I like to go by that I've heard from casting directors and different friends of mine of all things that generally are pretty good to know for everyone. Everybody has their little tricks and things that they like to use for themselves, but these are pretty solid pieces of advice that I've gotten throughout people in the industry. I've done probably, oh my gosh, thousands of auditions, hundreds and hundreds of self-tapes. So I feel like I've got it down to a little bit of a science. This is only my opinion. This is not the only thing that will work. So if you find something that works for you, that's awesome. And I would love to hear about it because I'm always looking to learn new things myself. So something that's really important is to have a solid background with nothing distracting, because you want the casting directors to be focused solely on you and your performance and what you're doing. So if you're taping in front of a bookshelf, they might be wondering what kind of books you're reading back there. Or if you have, a cat jungle gym behind you or something, they'll be like looking at the cat and not what you're doing. People are really easily distracted. So it is very, very important to have just a clear, plain background behind you. You can get like a colored backdrop. I recommend gray or blue, nothing too bright or crazy, or even just a plain white or gray wall. So that's number one, clear background. Clear sound, number two. You want to make sure that everyone around you is really, really quiet except for yourself and the reader. You don't, again, want any distractions. So if you have people playing music or, people talking really loud or walking really loud, it can be really distracting. So just plead with everyone in your house for half an hour to just move as lightly as possible. And if, it is possible for their cooperation, I highly recommend that. I have made lots of deals with friends and family members that I've lived with over the years to just please be quiet for about 45 minutes, and then you can be as loud as you want. Of course, cars and trains and planes and things like that, like if you're in the middle of a really great take and somebody honks the horn, that super stinks. But I think people, can get over something like that. Like if you do it again and your take wasn't as strong, send the one with the horn. It's fine. But you want to do as much as you can to be as quiet as possible. Another really important thing is the lighting. So something that I recently found actually at Walmart when I was in a tough position and I had a last minute self-tape come in and I didn't bring my stuff back home to New York with me. So I needed to get something really quickly, and I went to Walmart and I found this. It's a Bauer Smart Photography Series Selfie Ring Light Studio, which is super cool. This is not an ad for them. I just really like this lighting setup. It's really simple, it's light, it's compact, and it also comes with this really cool remote, so you can make it lower, like lower the lighting, or you can make it more. You can, I think, make it, like gold or more of a blue tint or just the plain white. So just mess around with it and see how you think you look the best on camera. Another really important thing is to have someone reading with you. When you're reading the sides or the script of the scene that you're auditioning with, it's important to have somebody behind the camera that is pretending to be in the scene with you, obviously. If you have super talented friends or family members or people that can at least get by with reading it well enough for you to give your best performance, that's amazing, especially if they're living in your house, because again, with the pandemic, everybody wants to be really, really careful as possible. If you do have the option to FaceTime with someone, that also works too. I've done that before and I've set up my computer and I've just had them on FaceTime and read the lines and it works out great. And you just pretend that they're here. So that's also another really good tip. Another thing, I know I feel like I'm throwing so much at you right now and I'm so sorry, is eyeline is really important. So your eyeline is, you guessed it, where the line of your eyes is going. So that can also really, really work to your benefit when you are self-taping, because you want to create the world that you're living in for these couple of pages to show the casting directors and producers and directors and executives what it would look like if you were currently in their show. So again, using your imagination, creating your surroundings is all really important, and just the little cherry on top is going to be your eyeline. So you always want your reader to be just to the side of camera. Either side is fine. You don't want them to be super taller than the camera or a lot shorter than the camera unless that is something that the script calls for. So normally you would have, if you have one person in the scene, you're going to put them to the side of the camera and talk directly to them. You absolutely never want to do what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to you, so it makes sense, but you never ever tape a scene looking into the camera unless it's a monologue, or unless, scratch that, never, even if it's a monologue. I meant to say unless they say we want a monologue delivered to the camera. So just to double back on that real quick, even if it's a monologue, you're looking off to the side of the camera. That's number one. Number two, if you have two or more people in your scene, you want to look at those people, right? Because if you're in life and you're talking to a group of your friends, when you're talking to that person, you'll be looking at that person, usually. So your best bet is to pick your reader as the person that has the most lines. So you'll put them here. And then if you have another character that you're talking to or reacting to, you'll put them to the other side of the camera. That way it creates some nice movement and brings some realistic choices to the scene that you're doing. I'll get more to that in the next video that I post. But those are just some sorts of really good ideas to make your video look as realistic as possible. The last thing I'm going to talk about is your framing. So your framing is the way that you frame the camera. So what the casting directors will see when you set up your tape. And I'm also using my phone right now. That's what I use for all my self-tapes. But if you have a different kind of camera, that's great too. I just like my phone because then I can airdrop it to my computer, edit it, and then send it in. So I think the framing is really important because usually a rule of thumb is like just where the top of your head is. You don't want to cut off your head so they can't see it, but you want to just kind of have the frame right here and then almost in the middle of your chest. Sometimes they'll say they want, from your hips up or a full body or something like that, but it's always important to read the directions to see what they specifically say. If not, a good rule of thumb is to kind of almost cut off your head and then the upper chest, because then it highlights your face and you're amazing. Why wouldn't they want to see you as close as possible? So then they can really see like your eyes and your emotions and your facial expressions, and it's just a really nice way to frame yourself in the most flattering way possible. Again, unless they say otherwise. So those are my tips. I rambled on. I'm so sorry. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I would love to explain further or clarify some things. But yeah, so next time we're going to talk about breaking down a script in a self-tape and executing what that might look like. So I'm really excited that you guys are here. Thank you so much. I hope this video was helpful and I will see you guys soon.